Welcome to this ISV Spotlight. My name is Sam Johnson. I'm the sales trainer at PayTrace, and I'll be your host today. With me is our guests from Interpayments. With us on this call, we have Suzanne Vandenberg, the VP of Partnerships at Interpayments, Bruce Hubbard, VP of Product and Implementation, and hiding in the background, you can't see him, is Devin Foster, the Director of Sales for Interpayments. Also with us on this call is our ISV manager at PayTrace, Kevin Hurd. Most of you probably know Kevin from previous webinars. Kevin and Devin, that's not going to make things confusing at all, are going to be hiding in the background on this call. They're going to be answering questions as they come through. So if you hear from them, just know that, right, they're not some random people. They're here to help out. Team, if you are new to these ISV Spotlight webinars, we're going to go over some housekeeping on what to expect from today's call. ISV Spotlights are your introduction into PayTrace's integration partners. Today, we will be introducing a really great solution through Interpayments around surcharging. We're really excited to announce this launch, and I'm just going to say this is probably going to be one of our best presentations. Suzanne, Bruce, team are excellent at what they do, so I'm gonna blow them up here today. As you go through this call, we're going to go through a demo. We're going to talk about the solution, some of the values of it. You're going to have questions. So as you have those questions, those comments, those emotional outbursts, if you look on your Zoom window, you should see a box that says Q&A, right? That's where we want those questions to go through. We're not going to be able to answer them all live. I'm going to call that out right now. We're going to get a lot, but we're going to try to answer as many as we can as we go through. If they don't get answered on today's call, we're going to follow up with you afterwards and make sure that anything is addressed. So the sooner you get those in, the quicker we're going to respond to it. Now, I'm really excited for this solution. I haven't been this excited about a new partner in a long time because we've had this ask for years since I've been working about PayTrace to get surcharging rolled out, and it's here. We're launching today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn control of this over to Suzanne. And Suzanne, I'd love to hear a little bit more about Interpayments and some of the cool things that you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. We're glad to be here today. You set a high bar for us. Now I feel like we got to bring our A game. But yeah, we're excited about our partnership with PayTrace. We already have a few mutual customers, so it feels like a really natural fit. This is a huge win for us. So we're excited to be rolling this out. I have a few slides to guide us through the presentation. We also have a live demo, and there's a lot of, as you know, we've talked a lot about this. So there's a lot of information here in these slides, and my job is to hit the high notes. I'm going to try not to put everyone to sleep here today. So we'll share all of this information with you afterwards, right? So feel free to, listen, ask questions, relax. We're going to send all of this out to you. And really, if I can leave you with 3 things today, I hope that, you get to know us and our team better, and an understanding of what Interpayments does and how we approach surcharging, and hopefully some good reasons to work with us. So again, I want to make an introduction just to myself. I'm Suzanne. I handle partnerships here. I do have Devin, who's my right-hand man on the partnership team, and he's awesome to work with. And please feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and he's ready to answer those. I also have Bruce on the phone with me. He's really all things compliance and integrations. So we direct all the hard questions to him.
We're going to throw Bruce under the bus for sure.
Bruce under the bus for
Absolutely.
sure.
And Suzanne, while you're pulling up your screen there, I'm just going to interject. You're trying to set the bar low, saying not putting anybody to sleep. I've seen this presentation like 3 or 4 times now, and every time I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. This is cool stuff. So don't.
I love that you're still excited about it. It's great. It makes me really happy. So we kind of talked through a couple of these already. Again, this is sort of at a high level what we're covering. We went through our sort of introductions here. As we get started here, I wanted to give you a little bit of background on Interpayments and who we are. This slide is a little bit of a mouthful. So, Interpayments is really an independent surcharging solution. And by independent, I mean, we're the only company that's approaching this problem from a software perspective. So if you're in the market for a fully compliant software surcharging solution and you want to keep your MID and you want to keep your payment infrastructure in place, we're a really good fit for your customers. And we're really the only option for something like this. So our service integrates wherever you accept credit cards. And we remove all the risk and liability around surcharging and compliance. So I would say the secret sauce for our solution is that we're fully customizable, right? We want to give the companies that we work with full control and flexibility over how and where and who they want to surcharge. So this is not a one size fits all solution. We're fortunate. We're a well-backed company. We have an impressive group of investors, and they've built some great companies and they built great teams. I'm lucky to be able to work with the people that I work with. We've been able to accomplish a tremendous amount over the past year. You can see some of the partnerships that we have in place. We've been able to work with, we're integrated into, we're the surcharging solution for SAP, for global payments, and now for PayTrace. So the year ahead looks really good for us. We're really excited to be here.
Can I ask a quick question, Suzanne? Sure. You mentioned, and I want to make sure this is called out because I think this is really cool. You mentioned keeping the MID. What does that actually mean? Your partners can keep the MID.
Yeah, so when I say that we're an independent surcharging solution, it means that that's how we differentiate ourselves from our competition. So rather than saying you're in the market for a surcharging solution, but you have to change your MID and change to a one size fits all solution and switch processors or switch merchant accounts, we don't require you to do that.
I think that's awesome, right? Because on those other solutions that we have seen out there, you kind of lose a lot of control that you have with your merchant. And with this, you're really allow the ISO to be the ISO, right? It's their relationship with the client. They can do what they need to. We are really just the technology.
Exactly. We are not, and I appreciate you bringing that up. We are not in the business of, we're not looking to become an ISO. We're not looking for your merchant processing.
Exactly.
This is a software solution. We are in the business of, bin table management, compliance, and liability. So that's really the value that we offer.
I think that's awesome.
I'm going to move off this crazy slide because this is a quick background on what surcharging is and how it fits into the landscape of options around offsetting credit card fees. We think surcharging is a great option for a lot of customers, but there are other good options and viable options in the market today too. Many of them are ones you're already considering or even using. But I just wanted to kind of set the table here quickly before we move into the rest of the presentation. Of course, the first option doesn't really involve surcharging, but you can offset your credit card fees by raising your prices. That's one option for a business. You can build all your costs for your goods and services into the price of your product. The downside is, we live in the age of price comparison engines, and that's not really a practical option for a lot of companies. So, when you include that cost of payment into your solution, you are discouraging your cash payers and low cost payers to use that method of payment. Cash discounting, obviously fairly popular in the B2C space. We see it a lot. I just signed my son up for, I think, driving school yesterday, and I got hit with like a $15 surcharge, which was ridiculous. I think cash discounting is really the opposite of surcharging. You're decreasing the revenue for when you accept a cash or a debit payment, and then you're actually still paying interchange for your credit card purchases. So in a way, you're rewarding your cash buyers with a discount, but it also is decreasing your revenue. So service fees are a really useful option for a small subset of the market, government and educational institutions. There's not a lot of regulation here. You can really surcharge across the board, credit, debit, you name it. That's not a part of the market that we work with very often. Convenience fees. Convenience fees are tricky. They're tricky to use correctly. They can be applied to only card not present transactions and only in one non-customary sales channel. So we use the movie theater example. When you walk up to the box office, you can buy a ticket. If you want to buy a ticket, what they would consider a non-customary sales channel through a website, they're going to charge you a fee for that. This type of solution only recovers really a small segment of credit card fees for most businesses. If it's your non-customary sales channel, it's not where the majority of your volume for your business is going. And we just see such an increase in credit card use and digital payments, so online credit card usage, which is really the most expensive part of Interchange. So if that is a significant part of your volume, it's not the best solution. And surcharging, and this is the space where we exist. Surcharging is the practice of adding a fee to a transaction to cover the cost of processing. It is allowed in all payment channels, and it's only for credit card transactions. It's transparent to the buyer, and you're only charging them for the exact cost of acceptance for the card they're using. Businesses really like it because they can recover all the fees associated with processing a transaction. So your gateway fees, your auth fees, processing fees, those types of things. So it really gives you the option to recover 100% of what it costs you to accept card. The downside is it's complicated. There are card brand rules. There's 67 different jurisdictions, local, state, and federal jurisdictions around surcharging that are constantly evolving. And, those have to be managed with this type of solution. So obviously we specialize in making sure that you're compliant with surcharging across all of your payment channels.
Do you mind if I hop in here for 1 sec, Suzanne?
Sure.
One thing that I've noticed, at least working with my partners, and a lot of questions that we get at PayTrace, is they're always asking about cash discounting. And I think that there's a bit of a misconception that cash discounting and surcharging are the exact same thing. And that's not true. They're super similar, but they're as almost as different as possible, if that makes sense, right?
They are.
And I think you did a really good job explaining it, right? Cash discounting is taking a lesser dollar value than the listed price for paying cash. Whereas surcharging, if you paid with cash or some other form of payment outside of credit, you're paying that list price. But if you choose to pay with credit, we're adding on to it. And I think one of the tricky parts about this is the compliancy. Is a lot of people are labeling something as a cash discount when really they're doing a surcharge, and they're not really in compliance. Can you maybe just talk a little bit about what it means for a merchant that's not compliant and what some of the risks are with that?
Sure. The more prevalent surcharging and cash discounting becomes, the more, policing of the compliance around this. There are fines from, $5,000 to $25,000 for surcharging or cash discounting violations. And they, in some cases they give you a warning, and in some cases they shut down your mid. So it really just depends on if they've figured out what you're doing, or if somebody's complained about what you're doing.
Right. And I'm kind of curious about our audience today, and I'm going to launch a quick poll, but we just shared a lot of information, and really this is still pretty high level, right? We're not even getting into the nitty gritty about compliancy with surcharge, but when it comes to surcharging, cash discount, convenience, service, all these different types of programs that are out there that have these different rules around them, how comfortable are you with that? Or how knowledgeable would you say you are? Are you an expert? Do you feel like you've got kind of the basics down, but might need a little room for improvement? Or are you completely out of it? I'd say before I met Suzanne and Bruce, I was probably in I'm the out of it area. I don't know much.
Well, now they're experts, right? We just went through all the differences.
I'd say they're close. I think there still might be some knowledge gaps, which I think is one of the values that Interpayments brings, is you guys kind of fill all of those knowledge gaps. Thank you guys for sharing that.
Awesome. Okay, so what do we do? This is how we offer surcharging. First and foremost, as I mentioned, we're a software company. We are not an ISO. We're not a processor. We are platform and processor agnostic. So we're not looking to change your processing rates or your MID. Our service is meant to be integrated wherever you accept credit cards. So, as I mentioned, we're 100% compliant with legislation and card brand rules. And our service is dynamic. And that means that we calculate the exact cost of each transaction. So we take the merchant's current processing rates and we map those against the credit card that's being used to calculate the cost of that transaction. So it's fair and it's transparent to the customer. We're the only ones on the market that are doing this today. We're also a customizable solution. And this is it's the thing that I like about our solution the most, especially in the B2B space. In concept, surcharging allows you to recover 100% of your credit card fees, but that's not always practical for all businesses. And, we're able to tailor the solution to your customers' needs. So if you want to surcharge on aging invoices, but not for immediate payers, you can do that. And if you want to surcharge on orders over a certain dollar amount, you can do that too. So all of our business rules are available at the click of a mouse, and the merchant has complete control. We feel like this is a key differentiator for us. And again, we're the only ones approaching the market this way. So, at the end of the day, we make it easy by automating the complexity around surcharging, and we're taking the risk and liability off your plate.
I have noticed, Suzanne, some other surcharging solutions do just hop in with kind of that fixed rate, like everything that you put in front of the customer is going to be 3.5. Mm-hmm. And, that makes it simple, I think, in some cases that, it's 3.5, that'll cover, it might cover the full costs. It might not cover the full costs. What I like about your solution is that you kind of work and consult. This is more of a consultative sale instead of just a quick plug and play thing, where you're making sure that you're covering the costs associated with what the merchant wants and essentially what the ISO needs to have covered as well. Right. So I think that's awesome. You guys are very flexible with how that's set up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of small businesses they want sort of a full package of a deal, and they're happy to take something that's integrated, and a 3.5 or a 4% fixed rate surcharging model might work for them. But with most of the customers we work with that have really much more favorable processing rates than that in Interchange and Interchange Plus, that's really a non-starter in the conversation. So who's doing this today? We see, in the B2C space, we see surcharging in with products and services that really, really, if they're convenient and they can't be price shopped or easily purchased elsewhere, it's a really good fit for surcharging. So, my favorite local Italian restaurant is surcharging. My HOA is surcharging me. My kid's private school is surcharging me. Those are all examples of where I see it today. And, I wish I could just, I can't price shop, unfortunately, but that's where my kid goes to school. So I'm sort of stuck. I'm either paying cash or I'm paying with a credit card. So on the B2B side, which is where I think we really shine, we see a lot of traction with professional services business and wholesale distributors, really companies that have thin margins. And, where we're looking for an ideal fit for our type of surcharging solution is with customers that have a minimum of $5 million in credit card volume. So what makes us different? we feel like there are quite a few things that make us different. I won't go through everything on this list, but again, we've talked about this already. Our competition offers a static fixed rate solution, and that's it. It's one size fits all. We handle all rate types, so we're going to do what works best for your business. Again, we are an independent solution, so our competition is largely rip and replace. So requiring a change of processor, switching due to higher cost processing, and then almost quadrupling your debit rates. So 3.5 and 4% processing doesn't work for a lot of our customers, especially in the enterprise market. None of our competitors offer customization. Merchants have very little flexibility in terms of how they're going to implement surcharging. And this is a key selling point for us. We feel like when businesses move into and make a decision that they want to start surcharging, they need to have control and flexibility over how they're going to implement this. There is no interchange optimization like you have with PayTrace, with other surcharging solutions. They don't have a solution that works across all your payment channels. So, really what differentiates us ultimately is we're a full service operation. So we're distinguishing ourselves much the same way that PayTrace does with excellent customer service.
Suzanne, do you mind if I hop in there? Because when I see and hear interchange optimization, I feel like I need to add my 2 cents. So guys, this is really cool. Why PayTrace is a great fit with this is because of the fact that we're still supporting PayTrace's interchange optimization. So all that level 2 and level 3 stuff that we do on traditional processing is still applicable to surcharge. And what I think, right, people might say, well, if we're already covering interchange in the surcharge, why does interchange optimization make an impact? Well, what's cool about this, I'm not going to get too into the weeds, and I know Suzanne's going to talk a little bit more about this in a bit, is when a purchasing card can qualify at 3%, right? Interchange is taking up a majority of that surcharge. There's not much wiggle room for margin, for gateway fees, for anything else that should be wrapped in there. But when we can optimize the interchange rate and drive that down to some of these level 3 rates, right? All of a sudden that opens up a ton of price flexibility. That's going to leave a lot more room for your margins. That leaves more room for a lower surcharge so their customers aren't paying quite as much. And again, with interpayments, you have that flexibility to be able to set that rate so that it reflects your value, it reflects the cost of processing, and it keeps the merchant happy so that they can charge their customers what needs to be charged to cover that expense. So if you're wondering, well, why the heck is PayTrace involved in this? This is why it's going to be such a good fit for those B2B customers, those B2B merchants.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that because that was a mouthful. Appreciate you digging in there. That is the combined offering is really what makes the solution powerful, and it does drive more margin to your ISOs, and it does save money for your customers. So definitely a key selling point there. Okay, so here's a look at how it works. We deliver our solution via API, and I just wanted to give a visual so you could see, how the integration works and where it works. So this is an example. This is a screenshot of portions of our demo page, which is set up in an e-commerce environment, and our solution is really resting right there at the point of sale. So when the customer enters their credit card, we take the first 6 digits of the card number or the BIN and the subtotal and the zip code. And we use those 3 pieces of information to make an instantaneous call to our service and to determine if the type of card can be surcharged and if it's in a location that can be surcharged. And then we do the bin lookup to determine what the exact amount is for the cost of that transaction. Here in this example, it's $2.21. So it shows up on the screen prior to authorization. It shows up on the screen as another line item in the transaction. So you have the subtotal and all the things that you're used to seeing, tax costs, any delivery charges that might be applicable, and then you have a transaction fee. The question mark there that you can hover over is really a disclosure to say that and these are requirements around surcharging. So what is this fee? It is disclosing that it's for the cost of the card, that you're not profiting from this transaction, and that you do have the option at this point to switch to a payment method that will not, to avoid the fee. So you can either switch to ACH or debit, which can't be surcharged. So for the ISOs and other merchants that you have that, for your ISVs and for the merchants that you're thinking about right now that have a custom or an in-house solution, this is the way that we integrate. So we do a lot of partnerships with different ISV platforms, and our API is consumed into your application at the point of sale. And then we're also rolling out, an integrated offering that's out of the box, integrated with PayTrace, integrated with Interpayment Surcharging solution. And we're calling that PayLink. And it's PayLink for PayTrace. It does replace the current payment, the PayTrace payment page that you're using right now. So it looks and feels the same as what you're using. And it's really an out-of-the-box solution as a virtual terminal and an e-invoicing solution. So we have, this is the part of the solution that we're going to give a live demo on. And I'd like to before I hand it off to Bruce, I just wanted to just show you an overview. I mean, again, these are all the kind of things that that Bruce is going to walk through and that you would expect to see, that what you're currently using with PayTrace's payment page and that are going to be listed, here in our demo with recurring billing, card vaulting, all of those types of things. So Bruce, I'd like to hand it off to you.
Great. Thanks, Suzanne. Welcome,
Sure.
everybody. So as Suzanne said, Interpayments is in the business of surcharging and making sure your merchants do surcharging the right way. That means charging the right amount. That means charging the right customers at the right time. There are a myriad of laws and rules around surcharging, and keeping those all straight is almost impossible for an individual merchant to do. That's where we come in. We know when you're allowed to surcharge, we know what cards are allowed to be surcharged, and we know what customers are allowed to be surcharged. And we do that for you via an API call that we do real time. And in order to make that available for your customers quickly, we've integrated that API call into a virtual terminal that we can make available to your customers. And it's fully integrated with PayTrace. So with that, I will bring up a live demo of that virtual terminal using the PayTrace backend, and it has Interpayment Surcharging built into it.
Bruce, while you're getting that pulled up, I'll just say a quick disclaimer. And we did get a question in here from Dave asking about this, but I will say this is using the Interpayments, the PayLinks user interface. So for those of you that are used to seeing PayTrace's, virtual terminal, PayTrace's payment links, this is going to look a little bit different, right? PayTrace is really the gateway on the back end. This is all of Interpayments interface. Lots of parity, right? What Bruce is about to show you, they have the virtual terminal, they have the invoicing, the payment link tools, they have a lot of the e-commerce integrations that we support. So just know that the parity is the same, the functionality is the same. It's just going to be a little bit different of a user experience. So call it out before we get a ton of questions coming through. Bruce, looks like you're all set up, so I'll let you take it away.
Great. So this is the PayLink virtual terminal. This is the tool that your merchants would use to submit their payments to PayTrace. So PayTrace is still the back end. We're not going to change the gateway or the processor or your rates. Nothing needs to change other than the tool that you use to enter the payment. So let me run through a few of the highlights of this tool. This is the transactions page, the dashboard that you land on when you log in. It has a bunch of summary widgets at the top that you can configure to be whatever you want to summarize your daily transactions. It has your transactions at the bottom. I've done some this morning just so there'd be some data here. There's a search tool if you want to extend the date window beyond today, or you want to look for specific types of transactions, or if you have multiple locations, you can search by location. So this is a summary page. When it's time to make payment or take a payment, the payment window allows you to do two types of payments in this particular implementation. You can accept a card. If a person's on the phone with a card or presented a card to you in person, you can enter that card information through this payment window, or you can select to create a payment request or an invoice request to send an email to the customer with a secure payment page link that's custom to their payment. So let's run through both of those. The first option is to accept a payment. Normal payment entry information here. It does remember your customer. So if you've already entered a customer, you can pre-populate all the fields with that customer's information, except the card information is not there. You could type in all the information for a new customer as well. But let's say we want to accept Cindy's card and she's going to be charged $111.11 today. And we put in her card information. I'll use my favorite Visa card. I know count to 16 right, that'll work. So let's take payment. This is in a test system, so it won't be too picky. You have the option of entering invoice information that will be translated onto the receipt, as well as a purchase order information, both optional fields. The other information has been pre-populated. You will notice that there's a text string here. This is the disclosure. If you're going to surcharge a customer, you need to disclose to them about that surcharge before you authorize the card. That's an important distinction for being compliant with the card brands, that you tell your customer you charge an extra fee for using a credit card, and give them the option to change the way they make their payment before you authorize the card. So that's this text here. This is the shortest version of it. You can tell them more if you want about switch to a debit card and there'll be no fee, or switch to ACH and there'll be no fee. But this is the shortest version of it. So when I say process, before this transaction goes to PayTrace to be authorized, we first send this transaction to Interpayments backend and say, here's a transaction. Can it be surcharged? If the answer is yes, then how much should it be surcharged? So we look at the card that's presented and say, is this the type of card that can be presented? So we have to look it up based on the BIN number and make sure it's a type of card that's credit, make sure it's not debit or prepaid. If it can be surcharged, then we make a second lookup based on the customer. So we have the customer's billing zip code. There are 3 states in the US that don't allow surcharging still. They're changing rapidly. It used to be 8, then it was 6, was 4 recently, now it's 3. And Colorado is one of those, and they've already passed a law to allow surcharging. So as of next June, it'll be 2, but right now it is 3. Colorado, Connecticut, and Maine don't allow surcharging. So if your customer's in one of those states, we zero out the surcharge so that you don't inadvertently surcharge somebody in a state that doesn't allow it. So this particular transaction can be surcharged. The card was surchargeable, the customer was surchargeable. So then we look up for you, the merchant, what's your processing rate? This particular merchant is set up on Interchange Plus with a markup of 45 basis points. He's a typical e-commerce merchant. So he's set up on Visa Product 1, and Visa Product 1 for this merchant at $111 transaction would be a $2.60 processing fee. That includes the gateway fee. It includes the authorization. It includes the interchange markup or the interchange discount, and any markup that your processor is putting on top of it. So $2.60 is the right amount to surcharge this customer to recoup all your fees for this transaction. So we add that to the total. And if you say process, then that is what we send in. It's a single transaction sent to PayTrace for the full amount. It's not 2 transactions. That is, again, required by the card brands that it be a single transaction. We also have the text again, the disclosure text there again, just to remind you that you need to tell your customer that you're charging an extra fee for a credit card. If they want any more details, it's under the tooltip that's on that fee. This is how much it costs us to process your credit card. If you want to use that card and get your miles, and get your extra cash back, then we're going to charge you an extra $2.60. It's fair, it's open, it's transparent, and they have the option to change payment type if they don't want to do that. If you click change payment type, it takes you right back to this window. You could put in your debit card. You could choose some other form of payment and not pay that fee. So again, I say process, it makes the call to Interpayments to check it. When I say process, it sends it to Paytrace. Now it's doing the normal processing of authorize and capture that you're used to using when you enter a transaction on a virtual terminal. So we go back to the site. You now see there's a fifth transaction here, the one we just entered for $113.71. There's the detail of it. If we needed to void it or do a refund or a partial refund, those are all options right here in the transaction detail page. So the second form of payment that we wanted to hit on is a custom payment window or a custom payment page that a merchant can use from an email. So if I select invoice here, I can enter very much the same information that we were entering before, but you'll see there's no card information. This is a template to create an email that goes to a customer that says, here's a custom link for you to click on to make a secure payment for this payment. So again, I can select an existing customer and pre-populate all the fields, or I could type in all these fields. You'll see there's no credit card to type in. There is an email there. I have a Gmail of mine in there for this customer. I'll put in the amount we're going to charge this customer. Let's say it's $888.77. I could put in an invoice if I wanted to. I could put in a PO. Those are optional. There is a new field here called a success URL, which is a URL that the customer is taken to once that secure payment page processes the payment. So if you want to create a thank you for shopping with us or click here to go shop some more link page, you can put that page in here. I'll put in the Interpayments page here right now just to have a URL to go to. And then I can generate a custom payment page. So I've generated a custom payment page. Here's the link to it. You could send that link if you wanted to, but we'll create the email for you and send it out with all the right text around it. It is customizable text, by the way. So when I say send, it is going to send this payment page to the email that was listed in this form. And it has a custom text field that you can put on each request. Hi, Cindy. Typing with one hand today, so I'm a little bit slow. We'll just say time to pay, but I'm sure you could put in better wording than that.
Bruce got in a fight with the table saw, and the table saw won, unfortunately. Yeah.
I lost big time. Yep. So I'll be one-handed for a while here. All right, so this is the template to send out to Cindy for her payment that she needs to make to us. When I say send, it gets sent. I'll bring up my Gmail account. And let's hope it refreshes very quickly. There we go. So the payment we made earlier was also on Cindy's account. So when we made the payment to Cindy, the email went out automatically for the payment confirmation. This is her receipt. One of the requirements of surcharging is that the receipt have a line item for the transaction fee or the surcharge fee as a separate fee. So that is taken care of on the e-receipt that is sent to Cindy. The other email you'll see there is the one we just created to make the payment. So this is the form that we just saw on that page. Here's the custom text that I entered for it. And here's the template text that says, please click below to access our secure payment page. And if you want to click this link, and when I click it, you'll see it brings up a payment page. So me as Cindy, sitting at my terminal at home, now have a custom payment page in front of me. It has your logo at the top. It has all the information that I pre-populated there. And all I need to do as Cindy is enter my card. and CVV and expiration. And I can submit this payment. And when I do that, it's going to do the same thing. It does have the disclosure text here on the page for sending. Say we may charge a fee for accepting credit cards, and she'll get that again when we evaluate this. I will tell you, if we had evaluated this transaction and determined that it could not be surcharged, we wouldn't have brought up a window with 0 fee. We would have just sent the transaction straight to PayTrace with no fee and completed it. So there's no extra clicks here. If there is no transaction fee, you don't have to click through anything. We just bypass the process. So this says, again, we may charge a fee. Here's the fee. It's $20 on that $900 transaction. And if you say process, it sends it to PayTrace and it gets fully processed. And now it's redirecting me to that success URL that I put in the template. You know, you could put your own page here. You could put a thank you page if you wanted to have your webmaster create a thank you page, or if you want to send them to your shopping page to do more shopping. That's all an option. You can put any URL you want to in there. So, couple other things I'll hit on, but not demo for you, because in the interest of time, we do have vaulted cards. We vault all the tokens from PayTrace. So there's a card vault here that has the transactions that we did. It has a customer vault that allows me to dive down into a customer and reuse their card. So if it's a returning customer, you don't have to. You don't have to enter a new payment or enter all their information again. You can just use their vaulted information. We have recurring models that you can set up that will bill customers on, you know, daily, weekly, monthly, annually. Those are all part of the tool out of the box. And as I said, it's fully integrated with PayTrace out of the box and fully integrated into the Interpayments backend solution. So those are all the high points I wanted to hit. I could spend an hour or two on this and would be happy to do that with potential customers if you want to set that up. But right now I've probably already went over the time slot they allotted me. So I'm happy to take questions if anybody wants more information. If it's quick, I'll hit on it right now. If not, we can set up a separate discussion to make sure you fully understand what's available here.
We're shutting off the mic, Bruce. No, I just want to do a quick recap because there's a lot of really good information in there, and I just want to just knock out those highlights. So one, I see this thing is super intuitive, right? I've seen a lot of gateways. I've seen a lot of virtual terminals and a lot of solutions. Looking at this, you know, you don't have to be a genius to be able to operate the system. I love the fact that the reporting is right there. You've got some downloadable options, some customization options in there, breaks up the surcharge. One question that we got in before you went into the invoicing tool, Bruce, was how white label capable, that's a mouthful, is this? And you demoed it great, right? The merchant can set up their branding. So when, you know, customer is getting a payment link, they know who it's coming from. It's coming from Fred's Frames, right? Or, you know, whoever this is, whatever supplier or merchant is sending this out. I think that's a big deal. It builds trust with customers. So it's cool they have flexibility there. I think the last thing I just wanted to mention is that there's a lot going on this technology stack. When you are running this through Interpayments and PayTrace, there's so much going on in the authorization process, right? We're looking at the zip code to make sure that this is surchargeable if this is in a state that allows it. That's an ever-changing landscape, right? We're recording this on November the 10th, 2021. When you're watching this recording, this could be totally different rules. What's cool is that this is keeping up with it. It's validating and calculating the actual surcharge at the point of sale. With PayTrace, it's checking the card type and seeing if there's level 2 or level 3 interchange optimization capabilities. There's so much going on in this at one time that it's really making this as optimized and efficient for the merchant as possible. And I think that's just so freaking cool. I'm not very eloquent, but I'm just gonna say it's so freaking cool. I get the thumbs up from Bruce, so we're gonna roll with it. Bruce, I'm getting inundated with questions in here, so I think we'll just kind of continue on. I'm going to filter out some of these, and then we'll take some Q&A maybe at the very end. And if we need to pull you back in, we will do so. So
Always
thank you.
available. If anybody wants to set up later discussions, always happy to explain what we do and how we do it.
Awesome.
It's all open.
Great. Thanks, Bruce. That was a great demo. I see a lot of questions coming in, and we'll continue to answer those. And just in the interest of time, I'll grab the screen and just continue along here. So here is in the B2B world, this is an example of a customer that we launched this year. This is a flooring distributor that recovered over $350,000 in credit card fees in the first 30 days. As you can see, credit card fees are a significant percentage of their costs, and actually a significant percentage of their net margin. So, they're paying high credit card fees on aging invoices. They're paying high fees on prepaid cards, single-use cards, and virtual cards. So what this particular customer wanted to do, obviously, was they wanted to improve their net margins. They wanted to recover as much money as they could. They did not want to worry about any of the compliance risk and liability around surcharging, which we were able to take off their plate. And they wanted something that was easy to use. So implementing into their system and not changing any of their payment infrastructure was really important. The game changer for this particular customer is that they needed customization. They have experienced extreme growth over the past couple of years. They are, over a $2 billion company now with thousands of employees. And a lot of their, they really didn't want to surcharge all of their customers. So a lot of their growth came from new customers ordering product samples. So smaller transaction sizes, but they didn't want to surcharge those customers. They only wanted to surcharge their established customers. And so we were able to implement this solution for them in a way that makes sense. Obviously, this is a large customer, right? They're recovering hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in credit card fees. But if you think about it from a customer that might have $5 million in annual surcharged or annual credit card volume, they're still looking at $30,000 to $35,000 in credit card fees. There's quite a lot of savings here, and that's significant for a business. Okay, so what do we charge? Our goal is for the merchant to have zero out-of-pocket cost. So our pricing is pretty straightforward. We charge a percentage of the fees you recover. And with most of our customers, we pass those fees on with the surcharge so that you're recovering 100% of your cost. For example, if the surcharge is $1 and our fee is 20% of that, or 20 cents, then the surcharged amount is $1.20. We collect $1.20, and then you get the $1 back, which makes you whole, and then our fee is the 20 cents. Any questions, Sam?
I just want to make this slide clear, because we're going to get some follow-up questions about this and pricing and all that stuff, because there is a lot of pricing and costs that go into processing a card, right? There's interchange, there's your processing costs, right? There's the gateway fees, there's interpayments. We're not necessarily adding anything above the surcharge. What's nice about surcharging is because those are all the cost of accepting card, kind of the cost of doing business. All of that can be included and wrapped into that percentage of the surcharge. So it's not like we're charging a surcharge and then we're charging a bunch more, right? All of that fits into that, 4% or less that we're passing on to the customer at the end of the day. So I just wanted to call that out. Right. There's a lot to wrap your head around on that, but just know that, right, this is really pretty simple. And with interpayments, there is that pricing flexibility where you can set your pricing at your fixed rate, your tiered rate, your interchange plus, whatever that is, and have that passed on to the consumer. So I'll keep monitoring the Q&A box. I know we're running up on time, and I think we might have to take a lot of these questions offline. So I think we'll just continue on if that's all good, Suzanne.
No, that's great. And really one thing to note here is we're happy to talk through the pricing with you and your customer. They are ultimately signing up with us directly with our service. So, this isn't something we expect you to be able to talk through completely on your own. So, what does this mean for you? Ultimately, we hope we've demonstrated that there's some value add here. So incremental value from PayTrace's interchange optimization and building more margin into your bottom line is a really key component of what we do. It's easy. We have an instantly deployable solution in PayLink. We have an easily consumed API for everyone that has a homegrown solution or for the ISVs that are joining us today. It's low risk, high ROI. I love solutions like that, right? You implement them, they start to pay you back in the first 30 days. So, something that's low risk for you guys to take on. But really at the end of the day, we'll do all the work. Let us be your surcharging experts. We can help you with demos, answering questions, helping you qualify and discover if this is a good solution for your merchant. So we're really here to work with you and be part of your sales process in the way that it makes the most sense.
Yeah. And that's one thing I really want to highlight is that this team, right, to our audience, this Interpayments team, PayTrace, this is really meant to be more consultative, right? We're trying to put the best value in front of your merchants. We're trying to put the best solutions in front of it. This isn't going to be, some quick sale out of the box, ready to go, right? We want to make the best solution for your merchant that they're going to stick with long term. So I think that's a ton of the value that PayTrace and Interpayments adds with this solution, along with all the other stuff that Bruce and Suzanne have been calling out. I did want to ask you really quick before we get to that call to action, Suzanne, if a merchant is ready to go, they want to move forward, implement surcharging, they're working with us. Can you just kind of walk through high level what that kind of process looks like? Because I know with surcharging, there's some registration stuff that's involved, and you just kind of highlight that.
Yeah, we walk through, what the implementation looks like with the customer. We have our, merchant services agreement that needs to be signed by the customer. We then our onboarding process is really getting your merchant rates set up in our system and then sending out the card brand notifications. So once we get the card brand notification sent out, you can begin surcharging in 30 days. That's really the main requirement behind surcharging, is that the card brands require you to do have a 30-day waiting period. And that's when we test the transactions and we make sure the system's working correctly. And then it automatically goes live on that 31st day.
Awesome.
Well, I know we're getting really close to time. I just wanted to say thank you for all of those that joined us today and hung here with us for this hour and are still awake. We enjoyed the time. We'd love to continue the conversation. And, I think the way that we want to move forward in terms of, reaching out to PayTrace if you're interested in learning more and using the emails that are here on the screen. So for ISOs, sales@paytrace.com, and ISV's developer support at paytrace.com.
Exactly.
And then we're happy to jump in and have them make the intro. So
yeah. So we're down to our last couple minutes, team. I've picked out a couple questions that I just want to run by really quick because I think they're really important. And I do want to highlight on here while Suzanne disappeared.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. If you have your dedicated account manager that you work with at PayTrace, you don't have to necessarily go through that sales inbox. You can work with them directly, right? If you have your contacts here. ISVs, I wanted to chat about that. We do have a few integration partners on this call. What's cool about Interpayments, I don't want to gloss over this, is that, right, they have their own API. So if you are an ISV, right, if you have some sort of custom homegrown solution, if you have a large solution that you packaged out to other merchants and you've gotten the inquiries about surcharging, right, you can leverage Interpayments API to implement that on your custom solution. And I wanted to ask really quick, Suzanne, we had mentioned, e-commerce. In the demo, we talked about virtual terminal, invoicing, e-commerce. How does that fit in with Interpayments? Oh, you're muted.
You can integrate our API into any workflow that is accepting credit cards. So your e-commerce workflow, if you control the platform or can customize the platform to have the checkout page make our API call, then you can integrate it into that workflow, just like we integrated it into that virtual terminal workflow. And we, of course, give you all the guidance and text and whatnot that's needed to keep you compliant. And we hold your hand all the way through that integration to make sure it's end-to-end compliant, simple, and easy to use.
That's awesome. And while we're out of time. 2 minutes left. I want to thank people. One last thing is I really want to drill home the compliancy aspect. There's a lot of rules that go into this, as we learned today. There's state rules, there's verbalizing, there's articulating in advance that you need to charge this and you can't charge that and all this stuff. When it comes to compliance, right? Interpayments is managing that, correct? Correct. So their merchant, right? There are some things that the merchant might have to do to manage compliance, but Interpayments is really managing that, right? You guys are consulting with the merchants on the rules, what needs to be done. You're essentially, are you taking risk on the merchants?
Absolutely.
Right.
We're taking the risk and liability around surcharging off the table.
And that's massive, right? This is all compliant. We talk about PCI compliance all the time. Surcharging compliancy is huge. And the fact that Interpayments does is a massive, massive value, right? It takes a lot of the burden off of you. It takes a lot of the burden off the merchants, right? Have somebody managing that. That's a value that, you can't put a price tag on it. We kind of did, but right. It's a huge deal. So I want to call it out. All right. I see Kevin and Devin have been furiously answering questions in the chat box. So if you had your questions sent in, hopefully those are answered. If they're not, we are going to be working as a team to get some responses out to you. Keep in mind, we will also have some follow-up information coming up. I did want to make one quick announcement. This morning, Paytrace did launch a new page on our website. We have an ISV marketplace, right? So if you want to check this out, learn more about some of our integration partners, Interpayments included, go to Paytrace, check out our new website. We've actually got this new website that we're going to be rolling out in full sometime here in the near future. Under integrations, we have an integration marketplace. Explore this, poke around in here. We've basically got tons of information on all of our integration partners. So if you scroll through here, you're going to see some partners that you've seen on previous webinars. Oh, look at that, Interpayments, new integration. Let's check it out.
Right up top.
We've got key features, we've got values, we've got company insight, we've got screenshots, videos, right? Tons and tons of resources to make this simple and to give you all the knowledge that you need to sell this effectively, right? And then when you're like, yeah, this is good, right? Connect with our team. We're going to help you move forward on that. So keep that in mind. Really great resources out there available for you. Suzanne, Bruce, Devin in the background. Super excited to be rolling this out today. I think this is going to be an awesome partnership, and we're bringing value to merchants and partners out there. Before we wrap up, I'm going to launch one last poll because I want to ask. Shoot, the poll didn't carry over. So, are you interested in, or do you have an opportunity today for a merchant? Choice one is yes, I have an opportunity and I'd like to talk to Paytrace or Interpayments. Choice two is no, I do not want to talk to anybody. This is not a good fit for me. That's it. I'm hoping most people click choice one. So I'm going to leave that up. Team, thank you so much for your time today. Interpayments, our partners that are viewing this, thank you. We're going to have this on our YouTube channel. We're going to be sending up some follow-up information. And again, looking forward to making this a big success. Thank you, team.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for having us, Sam. It's a pleasure to be here.